Hello there, happy Money Monday, and welcome back to another episode of the Empowered and Abundant podcast. And today I have a very special episode for you. Instead of a solo show or an interview, I am actually sharing with you the episode that I did on somebody else's podcast. And this conversation with this host was so good that I wanted to repurpose it and share it here on the Empowered and Abundant podcast. Before I tell you about the show, let me tell you about the host who is interviewing me during this episode. And it is the incredible Steph Bruno-Newton, who is the host of the Can I Get a Refill podcast. She is a former dancer, singer, fairly new mom, and also your biggest cheerleader for finding your own voice and creating the most beautiful life for yourself. The Can I Get a Refill podcast offers a nurturing and inspirational space for honest and open discussions around career aspirations, wealth creation, motherhood, healthy relationships with others and the self, as well as an emphasis on physical, mental, and emotional well-being. So I highly invite you to go check out Steph and also her show, Can I Get a Refill? And I'm going to be sure to link her information and her podcast down in the show notes below. So be sure to check her out. Without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode.
Hello and welcome back to the Can I Get a Refill podcast. A very, very, very special day today, talking my favorite subject, but also my very first international guest. We're talking all things abundance and money mindset with abundance coach, the biz hippie, Scarlett, all the way from Boston, USA. Scarlett, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I am really excited for this episode and this conversation today.
I'm so excited because we booked this before you started a podcast, and since you've had so many episodes released and I have become such a regular listener. I love your podcast.
Oh my
gosh.
Give it
a plug. What's the name of your podcast?
It's the Empowered and Abundant podcast. Thank you for being a listener. I knew I had some Australian people, but I didn't know who.
Do you look at the stats? I feel like a big warm hug when I see countries just all over the world listening to my voice. Do you know how it's such a special feeling thinking that your voice is reaching people in all ends of the globe? It's just, it's so great. I love that.
Yes, we live in a magical world.
We do. Years and years ago, you're too young, there was something called MySpace. Do you know of MySpace?
I know of MySpace, but I never had a MySpace.
No, you're too young. It was my very favorite because you could really personalize the page, and I had it all purple and butterflies. And, it was when Facebook came out, I was like, oh, this is so dull and boring. But I used to be a singer and I had my music up there, and I had like international fans, and it was the most exciting thing just to talk with people overseas. I loved it. So as I said to you, my absolute favorite topic to listen to, and pretty much almost the only podcasts I listen to, are about mindset, manifestation, and abundance. So love your podcast, and I'm very excited to have a chat today. So we're going to dive straight in, and I'm going to ask you a few questions. So please start by telling us a little bit about the work you do with helping others to step into abundance, master money, and own their worth.
Yes, so I am an abundance coach. I've been running my coaching business for about 5 years now, and I love working with individuals, but especially entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers, because so many people want to live more fulfilling, thriving, and abundant lives. They want to break free from the traditional corporate 9-to-5, all these ideas of what we should be doing, how we should be living. And often money is the thing that holds us back from doing the things we want to do, whether that's travel the world, start our own business, do different, more fulfilling work, bring our gifts and our service or our art to the world. And so I love doing the work that I do because instead of money being the thing that holds us back from living our best lives, turning our relationship into money into something where money actually empowers us to live and create our most abundant and fulfilling lives.
Absolutely. And do you find it's now more than ever people are wanting to live that life, whereas years ago, I even said this to my husband yesterday, I said, I think about like my grandmother or ancestors looking now, and you're doing content creation, and they had to work in these factory jobs, and you have to stop for a minute and think, what would they think of the luxury we get to live now? But do you find that people are wanting it more and more now?
It's certainly a luxury, and I guess want might not be an accurate term. I'm sure everybody has always wanted to like
Yeah.
work less or do less unfulfilling work, but I think nowadays people are more willing to do what it takes to break free from the fear-based and scarcity-based narrative that we don't have a choice. Like we have to suffer in order to survive. It's normal to not enjoy your job or your work. Like just get over it and deal with it. And this is what being an adult is. And nowadays people are recognizing, I don't think this is really accurate and there's a different way to do this.
Doesn't feel right. There's something that doesn't sit right. It's almost like a shedding of what society has told us we should be and going back to what we were born as, what we feel that we should be. Yeah, very, very interesting. And I like that you work more with entrepreneurs, probably because like-minded people. Do you find that you sort of spark more of passion when you're with like-minded people?
Absolutely, absolutely. And also because I think it requires a certain amount of, faith in yourself and being connected to yourself to be willing to break free from some of these traditional ideas of success and work and who we should be, what we should do to make money. And entrepreneurs are people, and whether you're like just desiring to be an entrepreneur or if you've already kind of taken the leap of faith and started your business, there's this call to do more with your life, to do really fulfilling, passionate work, and to also live a life that is more in alignment with you and live a life that you love. And that's all about abundance and the work that I do.
Oh, I love it. And I have been listening to your podcast where you were talking about the transition from working for someone else into going into your own work. Did you find that's something that I'd been toying with for a while, and actually a week ago I handed in my notice for my regular job that I love the people, but I cannot be everything at once. And 2025 has been really rewarding but really difficult for me because I'm feeling that sense of being pulled in lots of different directions because I had a son 9 months ago as well. So it's a whole different level. And there was this element because I do, try and help my husband with his business, which is going really well. I'm doing this, but then working a full-time job and trying to do all that, there was this element where things just are going well, but not quite clicking. And I kept saying, I feel like it's because I'm half in. And we kept talking about diving in and going all in. And I clicked on a podcast the other day and the episode was, the reason you're not manifesting what you need is because you're not going all in. And I was like, it's just what I needed to hear today, because that was the answer that was tickling at the back of my brain, that I think you just need to dive and trust that the universe is going to put footing for you. So yeah, it's very scary, but it's exciting, and there's no reward without risk. And I think it's we can talk more about that, about you going out on your own. But I want to firstly ask you, manifestation's my absolute favorite topic to discuss. And whilst it's a very ancient philosophy, it's certainly gained more momentum in mainstream media in recent years. But many people still seem a little confused about what it is exactly. Can you take us through your basic understanding of what manifestation is?
Yes, absolutely. That's such a great question. And congratulations on putting your notice in. Like, I know what is required to be able to pull that off. And I'm very excited for you. So congratulations in that. And yeah, manifestation, and this ties in perfectly for, especially if people want to step into a more fulfilling life, if that means leaving a 9-to-5 job. Like, how do you manifest that? Or how do you manifest your vision of your most abundant life? And I believe you are constantly manifesting all the time. This current life and this current reality is a result of what you have manifested. So I'm like a woo-woo-ish person, but I'm also a grounded woo.
Yes.
Right. That's where
a healthy balance of both, right?
Exactly. That's where the biz hippie comes from. It's half biz, half hippie, right?
Yeah.
So part of it is like, yes, manifestation, but also like manifestation is just the life that you're creating. Unconsciously, you are currently creating this life. And so if you want to intentionally manifest something different, more in alignment with your vision, you have to take this unconscious process of how you're currently manifesting and what you're currently manifesting and why you're currently manifesting it, and make that a conscious process so that you can change the things that you're manifesting and align your manifestation process with the results that you want.
That's great. You know what really hit me there when you said why. Now, I refer to myself in my morning affirmations as a queen manifester. I have manifested nearly everything on my list, but everyone has one area I think that they struggle with a little bit. And so for me, love, I always knew I'd meet the right partner. For, certain successes, I just always found things easy to manifest. But money, there's always been that little bit of a blockage. And I think I was probably not around a lot of abundance growing up, and, just the mindset was, oh, maybe it's a little hard to come by. So whilst I've done great things with money, I feel like that's the area that I still have to work on. It's a subconscious thing. But when I have manifested, we have a morning show called The Today Show, like you, and there was a competition where you answer your phone, you win 10 grand. And I won that 10 grand 3 days before I was filming a music video. Now, the music video cost $5,000. The promotion was 3,850. So I won just the right amount because I was creating something that was so, so special to me. So I feel like whenever I've attached a very specific purpose for the money, I've been able to manifest it. Whereas if I'm walking around willy-nilly saying, oh, I'm abundant, I want money, it's not happening. Do you find that having the why and the purpose is very essential for the manifestation process?
Absolutely. And there's so many good things that you just said that we could kind of piece apart and go a little deeper
We could talk for 5 hours. Let's be real.
Easily.
It's late for you, so we went.
But yes, but having that intention behind it, money really loves to have a purpose. And this is why I teach my clients how to blueprint with their money. This is different than budgeting. A budget tells you what you can't do with your money. It feels limiting and restricting. But instead, a blueprint tells you what you can do with the money that you have. It's being intentional and giving purpose to your current money. And then also when you build a vision blueprint, when you map out specifically, this is the life I want to live, this is what I want to create, here's what that looks like tangibly in terms of financially, it's so much easier for you to manifest that because money likes having a purpose. And also you're very clear on exactly how much you need, which creates a different fuel behind the creation of it than just this arbitrary in order to live my best life I must be a multimillionaire, and who knows if that's gonna happen. That's a totally different energy to bring into your manifestation.
Yeah, well, it's like someone throwing darts at a dartboard. If you don't have the goal of what you're hitting it at, how do you know if you've hit it? So I feel like having that specific amount. The only thing I don't love with manifestation is the specific date. How do you feel about timelines? When people say, I used to write checks to myself and put the date on it, but when I'd get to that date and I hadn't got that amount of money, I'd feel very despondent, I didn't. So I feel like dates put pressure on me. I sort of go with short-term goals and long-term goals, but I feel like everything I've manifested in my life, I've manifested accurately, but not to the timeline that I thought. How do you feel about putting a specific date on a manifestation goal?
Yeah, I think it's a delicate balance, and you have to find, I think there's benefits to having the date and benefits to not having the date. And so the
fire
purpose
under you a bit.
Right, the purpose of having the date is you have that whole timeline to really cultivate the belief that it's possible and say yes, I'm fully stepping into this reality, believing that it's possible, taking action in alignment with it. If I really believe this is the date and I'm giving my all, my whole energy, my belief, my mindset, and my action in alignment to it, it's so much more likely to happen versus making it an arbitrary date in the future. You might not put in that effort and belief and mindset into it. So I think that's the benefit. But at the same time, there is the practice of holding it loosely and surrendering to the universe's timeline. So if that date passes, often where people get tripped up is we make it mean a bunch of things about us. And it's I'm a failure. It's never going to happen. It didn't work. I'm not good enough. I'm not deserving. We can just pile on all this gum.
But there's so many different things that play into achieving that goal. So you might not have control over all the areas. So I feel putting that pressure on yourself sometimes can be a bad thing. There's an analogy I love, I always think about with manifestation is when you're in the restaurant and you order your food, you don't run into the kitchen and, you don't check, are they cooking it? Are they got it? You just place your order and know that your bowl of gnocchi will arrive. You don't, run after the waiter. You know what I mean? Like, you trust that the waiter took the order. You trust the chef's going to cook it. And I feel like there's an element of that with manifestation. Put it out there, be specific, and then let it go. Because you can have that real desperation energy, I find, that when you're really clinging to something. So you sort of got to do the action and believe it's coming, but let go. Do you agree?
Right. And then if it doesn't happen in the timeline you expected, because it's just that, it's an expectation, but often our expectations or our goals, and often our numbers too, they're kind of arbitrary. It's just like, I want to hit this goal for some reason. And so when you don't hit it, it's surrendering the meaning, like the negative meaning that you make about yourself. And instead you say, oh, okay, well, maybe I need to do something different. What's the piece that I'm missing? Maybe something's still working its way out, right? Like, there's a reason why it hasn't happened yet, but it's not to do with you not being good enough and being a failure.
True. It's a co-creating with the universe, and the universe has its own timeline. And I feel like it's we're putting pressure on the universe if we've got very specific dates. Why do you think so many of us have trouble unblocking those blockages to allow financial abundance to flow in? Because to me, it does seem like the most common blockage for people.
Yes, I truly believe that healing your relationship with money is the deepest layer of personal development that you can encounter. That, and I imagine parenthood, like parenthood and money, because money is like, I've seen this time and time again. So many people heal all these areas of life, and yet money is still the thing tripping you up. And it's because money ties into your foundational survival mechanisms. Like, your money is tied to whether or not you can survive, your fight or flight mode. It also ties into your foundational self-worth and your self-identity. Your money is a perfect reflection of your subconscious beliefs about yourself and the world. So any scarcity or not enoughness or not worthiness or like fears about survival, like all of that is going to show up and impact your money. And also, like, you can heal in every other area of life, but if you still have these underlying fear-based patterns and beliefs, it's still going to impact your money.
Yeah, absolutely. There is something that I try and remind myself when I'm feeling that blockage or that desperation energy, is that it's just a source of energy, and it doesn't belong to anyone. So it's not like I have to wait for someone to give it to me or feel, I'm not worthy of you giving me, because I used to have trouble accepting like money for singing gigs. Like, there's a lot of hours of work that go into preparing a singing gig. I was worth more than the money I was paid. But when I look at it as it's just belongs to the universe and someone's just a funnel directing that money to me, it sort of helps me detach from that, I'm putting you out by making you pay me. And I do see that with a lot of people. That's a really common thing, I think, with business owners or entrepreneurs when they're starting up, is underquoting themselves. It's almost an undervaluing of your service. And I do find, and I think it was Louise Hay. Have you read any of Louise Hay's books? She's one of my favorites. Said that, rich people love to pay good money for good things. So you don't really have to feel like you're inconveniencing someone by charging a lot. So that's definitely self-worth is so attributed to money. You're spot on with that. Yeah. Well, how can we improve our relationship with money and step into our most abundant versions of ourselves? Because there's lots of talk online, but what are some actions? What are some things that someone can go away today after listening to this, some actionable steps, and think, this is what I'm going to do moving forward to improve my relationship with money?
Yeah. And the first thing is really recognizing that you have a relationship with money. I think a lot of people just kind of walk around and even have like underlying constant money stress running in the background, possibly, and think nothing of it. It's just like the default. You're like, oh, this is just the way life is. This is the way I am.
Yes,
but
that
really,
default of feeling nervous when you get a bill, right? That, or being scared to look at your bank account. That's all. That can be very unconscious behavior, isn't it?
Right. You're just like have been living this way for so many years. So recognizing one that you have a relationship with money and starting to bring awareness to it. Recognizing like perfect examples like you just said. How do you feel when you check your bank account? What are the things that you're willing to spend money on? What are the things you're unwilling to spend money on? That gives you a lot of awareness around what you value, what you believe, what you think is worth it, what is not. And so first recognizing what is your relationship with money? Is it one rooted in scarcity, fear, lack, not enoughness? Or is it one that feels like solid, safe, sufficient, free? And recognize, where do you primarily spend your energy around money? And even starting to bring your awareness to that is going to start to open up the opportunity for transformation.
Great. That's a great first step. Yeah. What else do you think people can do?
Yeah, one of the other things that I work with my clients on is bringing more awareness to your money. So I teach my clients how to track and manage their money. And a lot of people may have fear or resistance to doing this. One, because they don't want to see what the problem is, right? Yep. You have like a lot of fears about what it could be, and I don't really want to face it. But so that's like one problem. The other thing is, like it takes so much time and effort, and like I don't want to. I just want to be abundant. I don't want to have to worry about my money or track my money. Only like poor, barely scraping by people have to manage their money. And both of these things are wildly inaccurate. The first thing is that not knowing what's happening with your money is actually creating 70% of your money stress.
I so agree with you. There was a little while ago on Netflix, there was a documentary about money, and they were all like that, resistant to look at where they spent their money. And sometimes you just don't realize that you're spending it until you write it out and you go, oh, well, I don't really need to put that much money into that. But once you sit and do it, there's sort of that fear goes away. You know what I found? Sorry to interrupt you, but I think there's a lot of shame. So I had a massive debt, tens of thousands of dollars. And there's a money podcast in Australia called She's on the Money. And I never used to talk about it. I had so much shame around it. When I started listening to that, they have Monday episodes called Money Diaries, where people would ring in and talk about their money story. Every week, everyone was in massive debt. And there was just something about hearing other people in the same boat as me removed the shame. I paid off that debt so quick, saved $60,000. We bought an investment property. Like, I changed that so much just by removing the shame. And I'm talking in a very short period of time. And I was in it for years. I thought there was no way out. Other than winning the lotto, I thought I'm stuck. But I did it. Like, I took on a few extra jobs. But I identified where the issue was. I removed the shame, and I was able to put actionable steps into getting myself out of it. So do you think shame is sort of attributed to a lot of people's money?
Absolutely. Especially because like money is such a taboo thing where people don't talk about it, or, you have this kind of challenging, toxic relationship with money, and you feel really isolated in that and alone, and just like, this is the way it is. Like, I can't really talk about it, and I just have to surrender to this situation. And so getting your money down on paper is, especially when you do it in like a group setting or like a guided setting as well, that's bringing awareness to what the actual situation is. And most of the time, the situation isn't really as bad as you
think it is, because you've created, and that's with anything in life. You sort of create this over-dramatized version in your head, but when you really sit and look at it, there's a line I always say, everything is figure-outable. I think it was Marie Forleo who came up with that, and it's so true. If you really just sit, take a deep breath, you can come up with actionable steps.
Right, but you have to see what's actually happening in order to be able to figure it out. And that's why like seeing the picture clearly eliminates a lot of the stress if you're someone that's in the stress. But if you're also somebody that doesn't want to be limited or restricted, and you're like, I don't want to look at it because I don't want to be restricted or limited, I don't want to budget. Instead, when you look at your money, what happens is you can then use your money really intentionally and consciously to make your money go further to literally be a tool to manifest the life that you want to live. So looking at your money is like putting the power back in your money and back in your hands, so you can really wield 100% of your money instead of it leaking through the cracks and feeling out of your control, and use that power to create your best life.
That is so spot on. When you said toxic relationship, if you look at it like it was a person, if you were ignoring it and not paying attention to it, that relationship would die. That's a toxicity. Or if you're talking negatively about it, it's not going to flourish. So it's so true. We need to look at money like a relationship in our lives. I love how you talked about that. I can see the marriage of the biz and the hippie there, because you're actually doing actionable things and looking at your budget, but there's still that manifestation and the mindset behind it. So it's a really good marriage of the two sides. What advice would you give someone who wants to become, we sort of touched on this, who wants to become financially independent enough to walk away from the corporate 9 to 5 and live more freely? So why don't you start by talking us through how you did that?
Yeah, so again, developing your relationship with money is the key here. And then also having this relationship where you're conscious and aware of what is actually happening with your money. It's really a combination of the mindset and also the tangible components. That's what it comes down to. Whether you're leaving your 9 to 5 job or like stepping into your next level vision, this is the missing piece, because you have to be aware of, just like we talked earlier, like what is the patterning and the subconscious processes and the beliefs that is currently keeping you stuck where you are. You have to be able to recognize and bring awareness to these subconscious processes, bring them to the surface, and move through them so that you're able to break free from your comfort zone. Otherwise, you will always be self-sabotaging and protecting yourself by keeping you in the same situation. So that's the internal work. And then the external work is having a clear picture with your money of what that looks like to actually leave the 9 to 5 job. You have to know, okay, this is how much I need to be making or bringing in consistently so that I can take this leap of faith. Because a lot of people don't know that number. They just
don't know it.
I need to be making tons of money. Right.
Yeah, and I think the 4-hour work week, it's a very complex book, a very sort of niche thing, but he definitely talks about that. Like, if you want the yacht, if you want that lifestyle, you need to go find out how much that costs, write that down and work out. And, it's mathematical, and no one wants to do work like that. They'd rather scroll on TikTok. So there is a little bit of work that goes into that, to identifying. And again, that's what we were talking about by having that, like the dartboard. You need to have what you're aiming for. You're sort of wandering aimlessly, aren't you?
Exactly. And it requires a lot of like internal work as well. Like the tangible work is really important, but also like to be the person who can feel safe and comfortable and confident to make that happen is part of it. And the tangible ties into the intangible and vice versa, because when you can see really clearly on paper, like this is what I have to do to make it happen, and oh, this is how much I'm making, yeah, I can do that, I can make it happen, it's just like 3 clients a month, or you're really like grounding it down into reality instead of just being this abstract thing that feels really impossible and far out of reach.
Pipe dream. Yeah, absolutely. It's not for everybody though. I think some people are very happy to get that regular paycheck. But you mentioned comfort zone, and I think that was the clincher with me of why I wasn't quite diving, because you've got your cushy job with your flexible hours and that steady paycheck coming in. And I think it's a bit of that, you've got to scare yourself into I might not have a paycheck coming in, so I've really got to hunt that business. So yeah, it's not for everybody. I get it, but it's very exciting, and there's definitely no reward without a big risk. I hear of lots of successful people talking about risk, but you don't necessarily have to mortgage your house to gain that financial independence.
Yeah. And it's about like bringing that awareness to what is the risk that's most in alignment for you, really, and finding that balance. And this work still applies even if you do like the consistent 9 to 5 income, because I've worked with clients before who do have awesome money coming in, but they still have a challenging, toxic relationship with money where they still feel stressed. It still feels like it's not enough. So this work really applies across the board.
The amount of money you have really doesn't matter. It's about that mindset, because I hear so many finance podcasts talk about people will increase the salary and then they just increase their spending. So they're still getting debt. And some people are on a very low salary with great money mindset, just doing great things with money. And the best example of this is lotto winners. So many of them lose all the money. Or, young sports stars will go bankrupt and they're earning $20 million. But it's because they haven't got that financial literacy or that money mindset to know what to do with their money. So it doesn't matter how much you have. It can go regardless, yeah. What are your top 5 manifestation life hacks that have helped you or your clients?
Oh my gosh, yes. So again, so much of this comes back to awareness, like awareness of where you currently are and how and why you are currently manifesting what you are currently manifesting. And this is really important. I think this is also the step that most people miss. Most people are like, I'm just only focusing on the vision. I'm just going to say a bunch of affirmations, but I'm like ignoring why I'm creating my current reality. Like there is a reason why you're creating what you're creating, and you have to really bring awareness to that. The other piece is the other piece is getting clear on where you want to go. So you have to be aware of where you are now. You have to be clear on where you want to go. You have to align your actions, your current life with the vision, and then take action in order to step into that vision and make that a reality. But in order to also like fully align and make the transition, there's a really like finite piece of closing a chapter and letting go and being willing to let go of what is currently here so you can transition into the next version. And I think that's where people get stuck, is they don't have the awareness to dig into the parts of yourself that are actually holding on to the current reality and really like the current reality, so they don't want to transition with you into the vision, and that's what holds you back.
Well, change is scary, and people, you need to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And I think people don't like that feeling. It's uncomfortable, even if they want the outcome, but things don't fall in your lap. You got to have that scary change and releasing of something. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the techniques that I work with my clients on is a parts work modality called voice dialogue, which is looking at the different internal subconscious parts of yourself. And the philosophy is we have tons of different parts of us, and we all like know this without even thinking about it because we talk about it all the time. It's like, part of me really wants to go to the gym, but another part really just wants to watch TV. And we say that without even thinking about it. But this philosophy digs deeper into, okay, you really are made up of a bunch of different parts, and these different parts have different motivations, different desires, different needs, different things that are important to them, but they all are here to serve you and to protect you and to keep you safe in some way. And so when you're unaware of these different parts and you're just like working really hard to achieve something, but you feel like no matter how hard you work or what you do, you can't get there, it's because there are parts of you that are holding you back from doing that and ensuring that you fail and are ensuring that you don't get there because they're keeping you in the current comfort zone. There's a reason why they like it the way that it is. And so one of the fastest ways that you can manifest your most abundant life is bring awareness to yourselves and recognize who's holding you back and why.
Fantastic. That's so true. How did you get into this work? I'm diverting for a moment.
Yeah, well, lots of different things. My background is in business management, accounting, and finance, and I also used to work for a personal budgeting company called Richer Than You Think. And then that was my whole like biz mode. I was also like young and successful and like working really hard, type A, high achiever, perfectionist, and was doing really well with money and was checking all the success boxes, but was like very unfulfilled in my life. So then I took a full 180 after getting my bachelor's degree and went full on hippie mode and started my coaching business and started saying yes to so many opportunities, like becoming a yoga instructor and a Reiki practitioner and traveling the world and attending retreats and just diving all into personal growth and personal development and really shoved money aside. And then it was about a year into my coaching business when I was having a conversation with a friend who was also a coach who wanted to leave her 9-to-5 job and felt like it was hopeless because she was making good money but was still stressed about money, still felt like she was living paycheck to paycheck. And I realized I actually have a lot of skills to help you with this, and that's when I brought my money skill sets back to the table and have really spent the past 4 years from then combining all my skills together, combining my different coaching modalities with my financial strategy and money mindset pieces to really like bring forward this work that so many people need.
It's such a perfect marriage of having that practical with the woo-woo. I love that. I'm going to end, Scarlett, by asking my very favorite question. If you met your 18-year-old self, what would you tell her?
Well, my 18-year-old self, this was like before I had even fully hit rock bottom and before I started my own personal growth journey and well before I even became a coach. And at the time, I was working crazy hours in like a bit of a toxic job environment. And I was really living my life based on like success and this idea of who I should be, what I should do. And it was really money driven, which is why I love working with money, because even though in a lot of ways I was successful with money, money was controlling me. And I felt like I had no control over my life. I was just waiting for life to start and hoping that once I checked all these boxes, once I crossed enough finish lines, suddenly then I will feel fulfilled. Suddenly then I can start living the life that I want to live. And so what I would say to 18-year-old Scarlett is that you actually have the power and the control, and that you can live a life that you really enjoy, and you don't have to wait to do it. You can start right now, and it's really up to you to decide to make this happen.
What a perfect answer. I think there's something really, you mentioned the type A personality, I'm definitely that. I find that all of us in the same sort of interest and same sort of industry start like that, and then there's a shedding of that to find your true self. But there's definitely a people pleaser aspect and wanting to do a good job if something's not sitting right. So once you find your purpose and let all of those restrictions go, it's just magical, isn't it? Absolutely. And there's definitely something about being young and a female. You're waiting for permission almost in life. And that's why I like to ask that question, because as we have a bit of life experience, I feel like everyone has very similar advice they'd give their younger self to just be, authentically you. And the power absolutely is within you. It just does not, you don't need external sources, but so many of us just weren't told that when we were young. So it's the whole point of your 20s and your 30s to find that out. So
yes.
I love that, Scarlett. You've really given such great tips today, but I also feel like we've just scratched the surface. So if you ever want to come back and do another episode, maybe in 6 months, and see how my business is going after going solo, that would be great. Yeah. Absolutely love everything you do and love your podcast. So I'm going to link it in the show notes, and I want everyone who listens to this podcast to go and check yours out. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much. I'm sorry for keeping you up so late, but thank you for being a part of the show today.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thanks for having me on your show.
And everyone, please do something in the next week to fill up your cup.